Oh, I guess there's one last thing I should have asked before starting.
What?
But do you want me to refer to you as Derek or Reverend Television?
It doesn't really matter to me. That's what's weird being you
Yeah.
know, I really don't. But when I was younger, I gave more of a fuck. But like, whatever feels natural to you, man. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie to you.
Okay. I'll probably do Derek,
Yeah, that
but
works.
yeah, just
You
just
know,
because
you
it
know,
was.
my homies used to call me 50 because my old name was 50 Dead, and then
Okay.
it's like it's evolved into 50 funny names because like over the years I've been Spooky Diddle Fingers, Reverend Television, 50 Dead, fucking Jesus Christ, so many names. But yeah, you can just call me Derek. That's fine.
All right. Well, welcome to the show, Derek, the man of many names. How you doing?
I'm all right, Zach. How's it going, man?
I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling, having a good day. Trying to stay out of the fucking LA heat right now.
It's atrocious, man.
Yeah, has it been hot over there too?
No, not at all. Like it's been extra. I live in New England, and it's been extra emphasis on the England the past few days.
Hmm.
But I honestly like that. I like a cloudy day, man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I agree
As
with that.
my moonlight complexion can attest to. The sun is not my friend. You
Yeah.
know,
Yes.
but yeah,
So let's start backwards. Normally, I start with music, but I was
sure,
introduced to your name through Code Green. So let's start. Let's just start with the film, and we'll just kind of go chronological order.
sure.
Was Code Green, and actually, before we even start with that question, because I was going to ask something a little more in depth, but uh, was Code Green your first project?
Like in film, like screenwriting wise.
Yeah, like
Okay. Yeah, because the first like project, I've been making. I'm sure you've been the same way. I've been doing movies and shit ever since I was a kid. But like,
yeah.
Code Green was the first time that like I put forth like a serious effort, like in trying to really pitch a project and learned about screenwriting and things like that. So yeah, I would say that was my first real like screenwriting project, definitely.
Okay.
And so many things led from that, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a project near and dear to my heart, and honestly always the goal with everything that we do is to still develop that series into a full series because
Mm.
it's very good. I remember you
Yeah.
you had yeah, Act Accordingly came out like right
Yeah.
around the same time.
Yeah. Right around the
Yeah.
same time I was doing that, and Black Hesher was sharing both of them, so that's how that, and because Devin was in it, like that's how I found out about Code Green and about your project and stuff, and I was like, oh, dope. Um, and yeah, I had some other stuff. There's other videos that I have online from when I was in high school that like you could find on YouTube on my old YouTube account that I can't access anymore. But that, not that I'm going to tell anybody how to find those videos, but they exist out there still. But but yeah, so I think around the same time we put those out, and those are probably I would count Act Accordingly as like my first like official project that I put like real effort and money into.
Yeah, because I haven't done music for so long. I my brain froze up a little bit because I'm like, well, I had a group called Weird Die Young that I
Mhm.
directed and wrote those music videos, years and years ago. But
Yeah.
yeah, Code Green is first effort and foray into screenwriting and film and that
Okay.
that whole world
So
for
what
sure.
what led uh actually, before we even keep asking these more detailed questions, explain Code Green to people out there that don't know what that is.
Okay, so Code Green. First off, the phrase code green is often used in hospitals, specifically psych hospitals, psychiatric hospitals, for when a patient needs to be restrained.
Mhm.
So that's what code green means. And then what it is a web series that me and my writing partner, who's a Boston based comedian who actually lives out in LA now, named Sarah Martin,
Okay.
It's a web series we both made that's about working in a psych ward, because we both actually worked in psych wards.
Mm.
And it's really interesting with Code Green, actually, because, me and Sarah knew each other professionally, because, I did Weird Die Young. I was a rapper, and she was a comedian, and I'd go to local comedy shows, and I eventually tried to do these hybrid shows with comedy and hip hop. And I, booked her a few times over the years, and we were friends. And when I worked in the psych ward, this is from like 2016. Oh no, 2015 to like 2017. I was working in the psych ward, and if anybody's ever been in that environment, it's definitely prime real estate for stories, to say the
Yeah.
least. And I had no intentions of really even, that'd be a lie to say that I didn't want to do screenwriting, but it wasn't like in the forefront of my brain. But then after, you know, I should also put a caveat saying that I have mental health problems myself. So it was a unique experience working in a psych ward with my own, issues, and
Yeah.
the hospital's underfunded, etc. So I wrote that series like a rough like version of a pilot, and then I contacted Sarah. My series name was called Inpatient, and it was way more dark than what like Code Green would become, because I hit up Sarah, and because I had never written a script really before, and she was a comedian, and I knew that I needed like this to be punched up with some kind of humor.
Mhm.
And it turned out that she was writing her own series about working in a psych ward called Code Green. So we just met up, and at the time she was in like a comedy duo kind of thing. So there was initially three writers on Code Green. And if you've ever worked, what am I talking about? You've worked with people and stuff like that. We went through a million different drafts, and then the third writer left completely, and then we had to like really start from scratch, and then it became this hybrid thing, and that's why it's inpatient production. So it's kind of like a little homage to the original title or whatever. But
Okay.
and then Code Green, like the cast, included Frank Santarelli, who was in The Sopranos. He was the character Georgie, who worked at the bar.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, and because he's a Boston comedian, and there was like a ton of Boston and Rhode Island comedians like Kenny Capazzi and Dale Cover and Brianna Woodward and all these different people, because that's who Sarah knew. And then, oh man, I could go on and on about Code Green, because it's really serendipity is the word with that, because
Mm.
it was just an idea, and then it was a script, but we just were writing this script, and we didn't even know like what we were gonna do with it, because we had no idea the process of like pitching or anything like that. um and we had like what we thought was a pretty solid pilot by, you know now we're talking to like 2019 January. And I had seen so many trailers, the concept trailers that people put out, and then I had seen them work. You know what I mean? Like in particular, what really inspired it was the Deadpool trailer that Ryan Reynolds made. If you remember he
Yeah.
financed like the craziest fucking
Yeah,
sequence.
that's how it got picked up. Yeah.
That's how it got picked up. So then I like got in Sarah's ear, because like I've always been DIY. You know what I mean? Like I don't really wait. It's been to my detriment, but with this new project, I've realized like waiting and
Yeah.
doing it properly and stuff like that. But I'm all about just doing it. So
Mhm.
I talked to Sarah, and I'm like, we should just film it, right? Like we should just film a concept trailer. But then it was like, where are we gonna do it? And then through serendipity, I get evicted from my apartment, and end up living with Devin and Diastro. Shout out to Diastro.
Yeah.
And he had his house was half of a doctor's office. Like it was a house up top, and then the bottom was exam rooms, and it was
Yeah.
like there was still a Lexapro clock on the wall. So, and like the nurses station, everything.
Hell
So
yeah.
I was like looking around and I was just like, oh man, like we could do it here. Um, so yeah, we filmed the whole series like in Devin's house in because my room was the exam room that you would that you would see.
That's dope.
And so I what'd you say?
I said that's dope.
Yeah, and so what we would do is like, and shout out to my girlfriend Vicky, she's the best in the world because I would wake her up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and then have her get out, and then I would flip the entire bedroom into the set so we could film. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, a lot of people came together, like any project in film, and that's why I like it so much because it is so collaborative. But a lot of
Yeah.
people came together to make Code Green happen,
Hell
um,
yeah.
and it was a lot of fun, and it's what set off this journey for sure.
Hell yeah, dude. That's so dope. So let's backpedal a little bit to the last question that I was gonna ask before we moved on to what Code Green was about. What inspired you to get into like writing and doing film and stuff like that?
Well, it's that's such a I'm gonna give you such a convoluted answer probably.
Okay,
Um,
I can narrow it down then for you a little bit.
yeah, go ahead.
When did you know that that's what you wanted to do? Like what when did that light bulb turn on? Be like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna do it. Like, was there something that led into that? Was there something that like inspired it, or is it like a slow build up?
It was kind of a slow build up, and then Code Green was like the nail in the coffin. Like this is something I want to do with my life. But
Mhm.
I I uh I moved in with one of my years ago. I was in a rough spot, and I moved in with my homie Wayne the Pain. Shout out Wayne the Pain if he's watching. Incredible rapper from place. He's not from Dorchester, but we lived in Dorchester, which was like a crazy neighborhood in Boston.
Okay.
And I was like stopping doing coke and stuff like that, but I was around like this crazy, everybody partying and stuff all the time and drinking copious amounts of coffee, which I still have not stopped doing. And everyone around me was such characters that I started writing this cartoon called Pilgrim Pride, and it
Okay.
was more or less like based on like my life, and like I used to like draw storyboards because I'd only done music videos, so I like just knew the basics of like drawing storyboards and read up on like filming and angles and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And but like music videos is really easy compared to once you move into actual. And it's so funny because when I showed you the short film last year, like your critiques was so dead on because
Thank you. Yeah.
like I learn as I go. But
Well, I mean,
anyways,
it's
yeah, writing a cartoon script that went absolute. What do you say?
I was like, it's just like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's good. It's good to hear that feedback. But keep going. Don't let me throw you off track.
No, no, yeah, yeah. So the Pilgrim Pride cartoon that went nowhere. But I loved the process of writing a pilot and like storyboarding, even though I knew it was going nowhere. Um, and then it was kind of just dead in my mind because I was doing music so much at the time. It was kind of like I was doing I was writing a script in a room full of rappers, like,
Mm.
hey, look at this, and everyone was kind of like, yeah, that's great. Like, anyways, back to doing music, like.
Yeah.
Uh, and then when I presented it to my comedian friend, and she was trying to do that, that's when it really ignited. Like, oh, I think I like this kind of collaboration too, and this is like bringing to life a vision in a different way. So I would say Code Green was definitely what lit the fuse for sure.
Okay. Dope. Um. So moving on from that, I have kind of intermediate question, just so we don't, just because it's on topic. You worked at a psych ward.
Yes,
What are some of the craziest stories from that experience?
there's different categories of like crazy, like there's like violent crazy, then there's like sexual crazy, then there's like shit on the floor, absurd kind of crazy.
Hmm.
So I can give you pretty much one of each that have stuck with me.
Yeah.
Um, the Probably one of the craziest ones I saw was this kid hanging himself, but like in the most craziest way, with his face down on the floor with a wet towel like around the base of the toilet. And I don't know how the fuck it had worked, but he was like purple with his face next to the toilet. And my girlfriend, because that's where I met my girlfriend,
Hmm.
she worked with the kids. Because this was an adolescent unit, by the way. That's
Okay.
that kind of yeah. He was probably like 14 years old.
Damn.
Um, yeah, that was. And then my girlfriend like ran and then like ripped the towel off of his neck. It was crazy because you get like crazy and adrenaline in those kind of situations. But
Hmm.
I would say that, and then another one with a kid who had fetal alcohol syndrome, who like you would I would get kind of almost too attached in a lot of ways because of the stories and stuff like that, you know.
Hmm.
Um and I wasn't paying enough attention to this girl, and she went into the bathroom with a broken colored pencil and like dug in hard into her wrist. So
Oof.
that was pretty gruesome. And then there was like then there's funny shit like this lady. I was on a one-to-one with in what a one-to-one is in psych is when uh you basically freak out or are violent or hurt yourself to the point where you get assigned a staff member that is like one-to-one staff to patient, and you have to
Hmm.
be at an arm's length away from them, and you have to document like everything that the person does, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was on a one-to-one with a really psychotic patient, and she went into and she was like, you know, incoherent schizophrenic with substance abuse, you know,
Yeah.
so like all done, you know, communication wise. And
Hmm.
she took a shit and then came in and she was like, my baby. And then she was like trying to, you know, which is sad, but like in the moment, like you develop a sharp gallows humor or you quit
Yeah.
because people quit really fast. That's a high turnaround
I could
in
I
that
could I could
industry.
imagine, man, for
Yeah.
sure.
But when
Um.
but when you change people's, it's rare, but like sometimes you can really change people's like lives and shit, and that's
Mhm.
really cool. You know what I mean? Like that
Hell yeah.
that is awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
Dope.
but yeah, those are probably my top three. Then there was a time where this guy was kind of like he was like it was like a half of a riot, and it took like we called the code green. Everyone's there from all the different units, and
Mm.
no lie, there was probably like 8 staff members on them, and
Mm.
probably like 5 shots of Haldol, which is like a big like it's like a fucking tranquilizer, pretty much.
Okay.
And he kept on screaming, "Thank you, President Obama!" every time he got a shot of Haldol. It was really funny.
That's pretty fucking funny. Um.
Yeah.
So moving on from that, the next question is, since we're just going in chronological order, after you did Code Green and I saw that and talked to Devin about that a bit, he told me that you rapped and you go by Reverend Television.
Yes.
And so let's talk about the history of you getting into music. When did you start rapping?
That's a little bit longer. I first started rapping in like 2005,
Mm.
and from 2005 to about 2010 or 2009, I was solo. I was a solo artist that was pretty much horrorcore, and the name was 50 Dead.
Mm.
And then in 2009, I linked up with my longtime homie, Dr. Dank, and we were in a rap group, and also my homie Hemini Jimes, and the three of us were in a rap group under different names, which would be Reverend Television, OD, and Buffalo Dills. And that became the group that Devin would know, and probably like my biggest like thing I did in music. That was called Weird Die Young, and
Mm.
that was like a hip hop comedy rap kind of group that I did from about like 2009 to about 2019.
Okay.
Um, and I don't know if you watched any of those videos. Did you watch any of the Weird Die Young videos?
I saw it when you sent it to me, but I'm drawing a blank on it right now at this moment because it's been months uh since all of that. You know what I mean? Since
I
what was
gotcha.
it?
Yeah, yeah.
Since you sent me those links. So um, I do kind of remember it vaguely, but I've had so much going on, man. Like,
No, it's cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I'll refresh my memory when we finish this and rewatch them. But describe it to people out there that haven't heard it yet.
One time is it was described as like Fat Boys meets Weird Al Yankovic meets Gigi Allen. It was like, you know, put it this way, the first music video we did, the premise, the name of the song was called Uncomfortable and Awkward, and the
Mm,
premise of the video was me and my partner Dank were children's magicians late on the way to our gig because we had to get heroin and coke, and then when we get to the party we were like doing the drugs in the bathroom, and then it ends with me throwing up on a 4-year-old at the end. And that was like how we came out the gate. And then we had songs like Rim Jobs and Mummies, and a
yeah.
song called They Caught Me about jerking off at work. And yeah, that's Weird Die Young pretty much.
Okay.
Jerking off at work, uncomfortable and awkward.
Hell yeah, I'm about that.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Um, so you did that for you said from when till 2019?
From about 2009 to 2019, about 10 years. Yeah.
Okay.
In the New England scene, we would play a lot of different clubs that are, kind of notable in the hip hop world around here, like the Middle East and Cambridge
Yeah.
and the Worcester Palladium and stuff like that.
Hell
And
yeah.
a million bars, all New England and New York sometimes, and
Dope.
shit like that. East
Yeah.
Coast. We really never played outside of the like Northeast.
Okay.
I've done some solo stuff out in the Midwest with my homie Mad Max because we kind of revived the label that we had back then called Underground Sound Records, where it's
Hmm.
kind of like more his thing now, but there's
Yeah.
Underground Sound representatives. But yeah,
Okay.
I don't really I do solo stuff sometimes now, but now it's more back towards the horrorcore origins that I had.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah.
because it's hard for me to do solo funny stuff because I bring more of the dark edge to that table usually.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you did release Television Religion on Spotify in 2021. I don't know if it had been out prior to that or if it actually dropped in 2021, but
No, that's when it dropped,
okay,
2021. Yeah.
cool. So my uh research paid off. But so let's talk about that project then.
Yeah, that was kind of my return to music in general
Mm,
because Weird Die Young had kind of fizzled out because, to be perfectly candid, because he was really public with it. My partner Dank, he was an alcoholic and he
mm,
he got sober, and then there was a person in the group, his name was Frankie, and he was our manager. He did a lot of art for us. He was a stage character who he was like 6'4" and 300 pounds, and he would wear like a thong and a Dollar Tree. Actually, get his helmet right here. This is Frankie, my homie Frankie.
oh
Hopefully,
dope.
there's some Weird Die Young fans watching. Frankie's there forever. But he passed away.
Mm,
He actually committed suicide in 2018. And it's hard to do a comedy rap group when one person is a recovering alcoholic and then one person in the group commits suicide. And you know what I mean? Like it
yeah,
eventually the joke's up after a while.
yeah,
Um, and then that's what led me into Code Green, and I did Code Green for a while, and then the pitching kind of fizzled out on that, and more or less what happened is my father passed away. I went on Zoloft and then started writing music again. And
Okay.
then I had like a spurt of
Yeah.
musical creativity and came out with that album. And I'm pretty proud of it, honestly, because it went in a different direction than I had been going for 10 years because we had done nothing but like mostly dick jokes, you know what I mean? So it was nice to fuck it, which is
Yeah.
fun and all that, but like it was nice to take kind of a left turn, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely. I feel that. Um yeah, I was listening to that also. Um it definitely is a little bit more of the horrorcore stuff. And you had Mad Max feature on there. You had Diastro and No Temper on there. I know I was supposed to be on that first date song also, but I dropped the ball on that because I had a bunch of shit going on, and I kept trying to sit down and write, but then some bullshit would happen, and then sit down and write, and then more things would come up. I was living with my girlfriend at the time, so didn't
yeah,
get as
that
much
that'll
writing done. Yeah.
say no more. I get it.
But
You would have been perfect. You would have been I love your style though. And it's
thank you.
funny because it was the same way like I got introduced to you through Act Accordingly because of Van,
Mhm.
rest in peace.
Yeah.
And that so I found out you did music afterwards, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
also have a very similar borderline horrorcore comedy style, which is funny. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
it. I like
definitely.
your shit. I
Oh
like
yeah,
your
thank
shit a
you.
lot, man.
Uh,
Yeah, especially like when you do shit in multiple layers, like how you did on the Worst Day song recently. You know what
oh
I
yeah, yeah,
mean?
yeah.
On Devon shit.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I can't wait for the not to put the pressure on you, but the next Comfortably Scum, that's going to be great. I
Thank you.
can't wait to
Devin's
hear
putting the pressure on me every day though, so I'm like I feel
it.
it though. I need to do it. I was writing a little bit last night and I need to finish my parts for that because they're all waiting on me now. So it'll happen. It's happening. It's gonna be out this year.
Nice.
Hmm. Um what's next for Reverend Television? Are you doing any more music or are you just focusing on
I
film
think
right now?
it's funny because I'll never say that because I've been rapping now. The first time I actually made like a demo was in 2002, and it was a group called Raise the Dead, and it
Okay.
was the most worst juggalo fucking terrible shit you ever heard. And I'm a juggalo for life, so I'm not.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
was the worst. It was the worst ever, and so I don't count that as like the when I started rapping, but like
Mm.
been rapping for a long time and I've seen a lot of people my age, especially I'm about to be 35. They will say that they retire and they come back and then they retire. Like, so I'll never say that I'm done because I know that like fucking. They used to say rap's a young man's game, but it's fucking 50-year-old art form, and there's like a
Mm.
lot of good like 50+ rappers. So I'm not trying to hear that anymore. And
Yeah.
there's young kids that like have such a thirst for you know that like
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So
Mm.
I'm probably gonna I have in the chamber at least one more solo album. And if there's any weird young fans out there, we have an album that's just sitting on a fucking computer, you know. So if like
Yeah.
the internet wants to get angry enough, maybe fucking we can lynch the person who has it on their fucking hard drive. Um,
Mm.
it's just there's not enough there's not enough like interest there for me to have to go through the fucking uh dentistry to make that album come out. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
so
I think I've heard this story from Devin before because this it's some guy that's just a pain in the ass is what I hear. Right? We don't have to get into who, but I think that's
yeah,
what the story was. Yeah.
and the music is held hostage
Yeah.
and it is what it is and the man who would have like really campaigned for it who was our manager has been dead for 5 years so so like I if no one in the group cares then the album just doesn't come out and it's not that it's just that everybody's moved on so like fucking
Mm.
one day there might be the Weird Die Young album and it's so funny because just like last year, I filmed two short films and only one of them got released. You know what I mean? I have an
Mhm.
album that's never going to see the light of day probably. And when I was a kid, I never understood like when you hear about films that get canned and albums that don't get released, and you're like, how the fuck does that happen? You know what I mean? Like, and then now here I am in
Yeah.
my mid 30s with a film that's never going to be released and an album that I don't know, where it is, even though I made
Yeah.
it,
It's crazy. That
so
shit
I
that
get
shit
it.
happens all the time, man. It's like that Batgirl or Batwoman movie that was supposed
That's
to come out. They completely
that
canned. It was done. It was done and they canned like multi-million dollar film, you know what I mean? It's just like
I
that shit.
know. I fucking know, dude. And I never like. And then it happened. Then it happens to you. Isn't that
Yeah.
life? You don't understand shit. Then it happens to you, and you're like, oh, now I totally get it.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
I feel I spent about $1,000 almost on a short film last year, and it looks like garbage. So I was like, yeah, this is not going to be good for anybody. And then I was moving on to like bigger, like the movie that I'm working on now with like an actual director and an actual DP. So
Mhm.
I had to take an assessment of like, okay, if this is going to be my career, then I have to fucking
Mhm.
put this one right in the garbage because this can't be the next thing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
because difficult conversation was the film I short film I put
Yeah.
out last year,
Let's talk
which
about that now. Yeah, let's talk about that
sure
one.
sure that was the concept, difficult conversation, another left turn. Um, all my life I've been doing like over the top, like I've been called an edge lord before, like that extreme kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, and then I just felt compelled. First, I would say that difficult conversation was probably really influenced by Hereditary more than anything.
Okay.
Um, I'm a big Ari Aster fan,
Yeah, he's great.
and yeah, he's fucking excellent. And the way the scene in particular is with Tony Collette, when she's fucking screaming at Peter
At the dinner table,
at the dinner table, dude.
that's the best scene of the movie, man.
It's incredible.
It is so fucking good, dude.
It makes you like I could watch that every day of my life, honestly. Fucking Tony Collette's one of the best ever.
Yeah.
And that just how visceral it was, and how true of a dynamic of a relationship between a parent and a child, and how much I could relate to that through not my
Mhm.
mother at all, but my father. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wanted to explore that, like, you know what I mean? Like, and I never had those inclinations as much before, but when your parents die, things get interesting, to say the least.
Yeah.
And it just jostled something loose within me. And I had already had the concept, but again, inspired by Hereditary, where like Ari Aster does like this like so subversive. It's comedy and horror and drama all at once. Like, and
Yeah.
I wanted to do that. You know what I mean? That was the goal, is to do something funny and dramatic and kind of like psychological.
Mhm.
And I just thought of the idea, the concept of like, what if you were a gay man and you had to come out to your father, but your father had Alzheimer's, and you just kept on having to relive it over and over again. And at first, I thought of it as like a comedy, and I wrote like the character based off of my father, pretty much, because he's a classic, like he was a New England junkie with like all the trappings of all the stereotype.
Yeah.
And uh, I just thought it would be great to have that character versus a very straight man. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that's gay, but just like like a very serious man. And then when I actually started writing it and developing it, like it became a straight up and down family drama. Um, and it did what it did its purpose, and what its purpose was for me to help deal with my father's death, I think,
Mhm.
essentially. And then also to learn as a filmmaker, appreciate what goes into, because that film I wrote, directed, and filmed, but I used directed loosely because I hired a man named Jordan Pacheco for lighting on that film. and he walked me, helped me through that a lot,
Okay.
with some of the blocking. But that's why it's so funny, because you gave me such an honest note when I showed it to you. Like, you're blocking it like a stage show, like a fucking play. You know what I mean?
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not like a scene. Because that's
Mhm.
how I was so used to. Because like when I did Weird Die Young, we had characters, and like in stage sets and shit like that. So I was used to, just one kind of film is so three-dimensional. And
Yeah.
when you see a good like cinematographer, it's like watching somebody use a paintbrush through the air or something. I don't even know how to
Mhm.
describe it, because you're using the environment and like things that I am not at yet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That I aspire to be one day, but like I uh I did the best I could with with
No,
difficult conversation,
it was still
and it
really
is
dope.
available.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
It's still really dope. I really like the way the story of it was moving enough to get past some of the rough edges, you know what I mean?
I appreciate that a lot,
Of
because
course.
I really see myself as a screenwriter above all. It's
Mhm.
just that to facilitate your projects, you need to produce and direct your own shit a lot of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's such a modern thing that everybody does, and then you find where your strengths really lie. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm doing now, specifically with Terminal Wellness, the feature that we're working on now, which um, again, serendipity really led us to this place, because I worked with Jordan, who did the lighting on Difficult Conversation, and then he told me he's a director, and I looked up his films, Blood Pie and The Trees Have Eyes, and he is funny and has the same kind of like sentiment and jokes, and just a love for horror, an appreciation for horror. And I also seen in his work that like I don't think this dude wants to do just horror for forever. You know what I mean? And I had
Mhm.
Terminal Wellness, and I pitched him the script, and he liked it, and thing one thing led to another, and now here we are with Terminal Wellness being in development.
Oh yeah. So I guess that's a good way to move into terminal wellness. Let's talk about that then.
So Terminal Wellness is the first. I'm not gonna say it's the first feature I wrote, because I've written a few scripts now. It's the first good feature that that I've written,
Okay.
and I can say that because I've gone through multiple drafts, and we've gone through script doctors, and Jordan going over it, and it's a solid story that me and Sarah came up with. It's about love at first sight at a suicide clinic in the future in America.
Mm.
And it was really inspired last year, um, around April. I read about how in Canada they have loosened the restrictions on suicide clinics. Like, and now it's kind of everyone's talking about it, but I was like, wow, that's amazing. That like it's gone down to the threshold is just depression, where if you get a doctor's note, like you can
Yeah.
commit suicide. And then I was like, wow, what's that going to be like in America? It's going to be with a nice cushy antidepressant ad, like selling it to you. It'll be a franchise.
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, that's exactly what it's going to be like, and it's coming. And then the other thought right after it was like, what if you went there, and then that's where you find the love of your life, in the waiting room. You know what I mean? Like, you're about to
Yeah.
go in, and then that's when you find because that's I find, and it's funny because like I don't know if you've ever noticed this, and I've read a lot, about screenwriting and watching videos and stuff, and you end up writing about your own experiences and stuff, but through different ways, like,
Mhm.
and it kind of is the story of how I met my girlfriend Vicky in a lot of ways, because we met working in a psych ward. You know what I mean? So we were
Mhm.
in this like hopeless kind of environment, but like found love. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Hell
because
yeah.
it's a very dark story, but I do
Mm.
believe in the power of love and all that happy
Yeah.
shit. But
Well,
also,
there's actually a real anecdote of that happening in real life.
yes,
Not something similar, but here's a good one. Do you remember the guy that was paralyzed and he was going to get a head transplant onto a new body?
I do actually. Yeah,
Do you remember what happened to him?
I don't at all.
Okay, so I was having this conversation with a friend. We were talking about it. I was like, I don't know if they ever did it because I don't remember what happened with. I don't know if he died or if it because if it was a success, it would be all over the place, right? What
Right.
happened is in the time while they were preparing to they're like the months while they were preparing to do the head transplant, he found love and decided to not do it.
Wow.
Yeah, he backed out of it because he found the love of his life. And I was just like, damn, man, like that's crazy. Like, but yeah, so where right when you were explaining that story, I was like, that just reminded me of that immediately.
Yeah, it's real shit, man.
Hmm.
Um, and you don't believe it until you experience it. And I do believe that it is probably the solution, whether it's self love or love with someone else, like to really come from that hopeless place. And that's why I'm not gonna say how it ends, but there is an apt ending to it, while also being true to the characters,
Okay.
because uh, they definitely are inspired by real life situations and circumstances and feelings about current situations and what the collective projected reality of what we all think of where everything's going with like AI controlling everything and celebrities co-opting positions of power and telling us what to do. So it's kind of like a comedic stew of all that shit, but then
Mm.
also the emotional mushy shit like throughout. That's why we bill it as a dark romantic comedy,
Hell
which
yeah.
is so funny. Like I never thought that in my life that I would have put out like a dramatic film about a man coming out to his father, or that I would write
Hmm.
a romantic comedy. But like when ideas come, I just kind of you know I've been in theater and shit ever since I was a kid, and the first thing they teach you is like follow the fear and follow the inspiration and stuff like that. So like when I get these ideas, I latch onto it and follow it all the way down to the bitter end. And sometimes it's $1,000 short film that goes right into the garbage, and then other times it's a what seems like a viable feature film. And
Yeah.
terminal wellness also attached, like story aside, uh Jordan Pacheco directing and Stephen Schloss as DP, they're bringing some skill and talent that is just like next level compared to my body of work.
Hmm.
That's why I've shown most people, and maybe you could put a clip in of the commercial just to
Oh
show the
yeah.
production value. People think that this ad, because to promote terminal wellness, we've this will the joke will be up by the time this episode's out, but we made the company Ascension, like we made a fake website for the
Yeah.
suicide clinic. And it's interesting because I showed it to my psychiatrist the other day, and she laughed out loud. It was really funny, but then she immediately adjusted my medication. She was like, "You get no, that is as fucking real as it gets, my man."
Oh,
when
that
you
is hilarious.
Yeah. And what's funny is like she had her little assistant in the room because
Mm.
like she's like training, a therapist or whatever,
Yeah.
and she's just hella interested in my case. Like, so like, oh man, like, I mean, because I have been going through some medication changes and shit, and it's really funny because like the same thing was happening when I was doing Code Green. Like, I ended up going on an antipsychotic while we were making Code Green. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
that's the nature of how my brain goes. Like, I get too excited and obsessed, and like,
Hmm.
and then I have to dial it back. And yeah, I bipolar, you usually learn after you spend a few $1,000s or lose your job or whatever. But like,
Mm.
it hasn't gotten to that extreme yet. because of this project, I've been able to channel it all there, and I've been shout out to the Terminal Wellness team that has been helping promote, because honestly,
Mm,
I never really knew about, and not that I didn't know, but like, like shadow banning or whatever. I thought
yeah.
that was kind of just like a buzzword almost. You know what I mean? I'm
Mm,
not gonna lie to you, but ever since we launched the Terminal Wellness shit, we got banned almost immediately from Instagram. Got taken down twice, and then now we can't follow anybody for 7 days, and it's hard to search it. And I guess
mm.
that's what the shadow ban is, essentially. The reach has been crazy hard, and it's probably because we're promoting assisted suicide pretty
Yeah,
blatantly.
because it actually looks like a legitimate commercial. So like when you if you watch it and you don't know that it's like a promo for a movie, like you might think that it's a legit thing or something. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Like,
I do know. Yeah, a lot of people almost skip it because it's such a, because Stephen Schloss, shout out to Stephen Schloss. He's a filmmaker, but his like bread and butter is production, corporate level kind of commercials. So he
mm,
fucking, and then we paid the lady who did the voiceover, has actually worked for like McDonald's and like all the big like corporate profiles. So that's why it really is like
like
that
legit,
level,
yeah.
but it's almost to our detriment for two reasons. People almost skip it a lot because
Think it's
they're
a
not
real
like,
ad, yeah.
they think it's a real ad, so they're not hanging on for the joke. And then the other part is when it's, because we're promoting it as a healthcare business, they kind of they want you to pay. There's even like, how it's hard to be an artist and get your shit out there. When
Mm,
you're a business, it's the same kind of thing because they want you to promote your posts. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
They want to make money off everybody.
Exactly, yeah. And it's crazy how every year it gets worse and worse, because I'll give you an example. When we released Code Green, the first episode, we had probably about 30 shares, the same amount of shares that we have now on us on the Ascension commercial.
Mhm.
And we had about 2,000 views out like not out the gate, but like after the first like couple weeks. And now it's 32 shares, almost the exact same number, and only 660 views. And I don't even understand how that like works. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
but so by the time this is out, it will be like the cat's out of the bag. It will be promoting the Indiegogo, and where
Yeah.
because right now, the other thing about like promoting this company is a lot of people who have been trying to get in on the joke. They're like, yo, because suicide is literally like the second cause of death in this country. Like
Mhm.
they're like, hey, my brother's kid just died. I can't promote this shit right now. Like,
Yeah.
and I get that, because honestly, suicide has affected my life. The first time that a fucking friend committed suicide, I was 13 years old in 2002. You know what
Mhm.
I mean?
Yeah.
And then two suicides in 2014, Amanda, and then my friend Dan, and then Frankie, who was in Weird Die Young, one of my best friends, he committed suicide. So like,
Yeah.
I think that's why this fucking movie has come out. You know what I mean? Like, because it's just
Yeah.
been like fucking suicide, 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 all
It's a
over it.
heavy subject, man, cuz like I got that song Suicide Watch and I performed that live, and like one of the first times that I performed it live, I performed it in Salem, Oregon, and I had people come up to me and be like, "Man, like that song was so deep. Like my brother just like committed suicide just like a couple months ago, and like I wish like that song was around for him to hear it at that time. Like maybe it would have helped him, blah blah blah." Like people have said shit like that to me over that song, and I'm just like, fuck, man. Like I knew I was expecting people to take it a certain way, but like when you talk about such deep subjects, whether it's film, whether it's in a painting, whether it's in music, like people, it affects people in a certain way. You know what I mean? Like it evokes a certain emotion out of them because it brings up memories or brings up traumas or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and suicide's such a common thing. Like I don't know. where everyone else is psychologically, but I've had fucking crazy thoughts like that before, you know what I mean? Or like sometimes I'm just like, it'd be easier if I just fucking walked into traffic and died right now. You know what I mean?
I'm not gonna lie to you, that's like my baseline thinking since I was about 13. You know what I mean? So
And
that's why like
I was in third grade going to a shrink because I was having suicidal thoughts. I would be pulled out of class once a week every Thursday. And everyone thought I was getting in trouble, but it was because I was going to I was seeing a shrink for fucking uh my suicidal thoughts in third grade, man. I wasn't even 10 years old yet.
yeah, I had missed a solo in 8th grade, but I also am manipulative enough to know that like, oh, I want to get out of Spanish class, so I'm just gonna fucking say I need to talk to Mr. Solo because every time I wanted to go to talk to him, it was fucking Spanish class. But I also have dealt with my emotions with
Yeah.
marijuana since I was 13. So I was high
Yeah.
in school, and then I would just kind of say, that's why, mental health a big part of this movie is about being honest with yourself, and when you
Mm.
are, then you'll find like the truth and love and all that stuff,
Yeah.
because that's like the hardest thing to do in general, but especially when you go on that journey of therapy and
Mm.
medication and really trying to get your shit together, because you will continue to lie to yourself even with other people in the room, you know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
and that's fucking hard, to
Yeah.
be honest with yourself.
It is very difficult for sure. And you could tell when you call people out on it and try to get them to be honest with themselves, you could tell like they get this like blank stare, and like you could tell the words are going in one ear and out the other, and they're just tooting it out like they don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, because they're probably doing one of two things. Either they're doing the assessment right now in real time, like, oh shit, he is wrong. I am fucked up, da da da. Or that auto, like you're saying, that autopilot behavior kicks on, and then like
yeah,
it's not even nothing's being processed at all. And I
yeah,
feel like that autopilot thing is so much more in effect, like especially because the
yeah,
way people consume everything and live their life now, it's like everyone's in like their own echo chambers, like cemented, like um and I that's another thing that we talk about a lot in the film is it's all driven by everyone's on their cell phones and stuff like that, because that is, and that's not it's not necessarily the worst thing, but it is a thing, you know what
yeah,
I mean. um
for sure.
but
And I mean,
yeah, we
we're always comparing ourselves to other people on social media, and you know what I mean. Like, it's depressing whenever I see someone who's 18 years old and now they're a millionaire because they made like some shitty rap song, and I'm like, fuck, dude, like,
I get it, yo, and
you
and
know,
also, it's also it's hard. Not that it's hard to. I'm trying to learn to respect the new avenues of entertainment, because
mm,
there's a type of content that is created that I cannot do. I cannot do the short form like TikTok content. And that
it's
is a type of creator now. And like trying to reconcile that being an artist is very hard. You know what I mean? Because you think, why can't I, like fucking do something so simple like that? You know what I
yeah,
mean? And I think it's the same way as like comparing yourself, like, if you're a fucking painter and you're comparing yourself to somebody like, spinning fucking thread, it's a different medium, like go learn that if you want to be, but do you want to be a TikTok like, is it, because it seems hella shallow to me. But I'm not gonna lie to you, I watch the videos of people eating food in Africa and stuff like that, and I don't even know why I do it. I just do it. I'm like, wow, look at him eating with his hands. Like,
it's
I love
interesting.
watching people eat with their hands in different countries. Like, the fuck is wrong with me? And I find myself in that loop.
Yeah,
Like, um,
it's
but I
it's
also,
poison. It's poison. I'm gonna go on a tangent about that for a second. I do think
yeah,
that
go for it.
short form media is a fucking poison to our brain, and I'm a victim of it as well. Like, I noticed that like I have to really force myself to watch long form content nowadays. Like, I have to like put the phone down, turn the TV on, watch it, and not pay attention to anyone else. You know what I mean? Like, because I struggle, I'm addicted to the phone, and then not just that, but I noticed that like if even on TikTok, if it drags on too long, my ADHD kicks. I don't even know if I have ADHD, but it feels like if it's going on too long and it's boring, I'll scroll, and I scroll like 50 times, not even watching half the shit. And then like when people do voice messages to me now, because we're not talking in real time, I get distracted in a 30-second voice message. So now Apple came out with this thing where I can listen to voice messages at 1.5 times the speed. And I listen to it faster so I could hear it faster and digest it faster. And it's just
We're
like,
doomed.
we
We're
are,
doomed.
dude. And like and I'm sitting here like admitting this because like I get my brain is just like just immediately next thing, and I'm just, it's just conditioned that to that way now. And imagine fucking the kids that are on TikTok all day long, how they're gonna be when they're 20, 30 years old, having to deal with all of this shit in our terrible fucking healthcare system and all that, our mental healthcare system specifically. But yeah,
And
like
that's another big thing that's like the big joke in the terminal wellness movie is like, that eventually this will be the solution. It's just suicide
yeah,
because it's
just turn
just
the off switch. Yeah.
yeah, because it's just pump you full of medications and then put you in a white four-walled room, for 72-hour hold, and then if you act up too much, then it's a 6-month stay and you're not learning much of anything
Mhm.
unless you are wealthy enough to go, be on one of those rolling estates that are imaginary and not real in the mental health world. That's fucking film. That's why we made Code Green to be like, no, this is actually what it's like, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, man, the short form stuff, I feel like eventually there will be a renaissance, and there is already. Like,
There
there's a
is.
lot of kids that are into film and into old school hip hop and analog sound and all that stuff because
Mhm.
they're just sick of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They know that inherently that it's bad for them. You know what I mean? Like, even
Yeah.
if not, even if people don't have like the specific neuroses that are defined by the DSM, it's something new that's happening now. Because I
Yeah.
remember when I was a kid, I read a book called The Four Arguments for the Elimination of Television in high school because I was bugged out by TV, and that's why I call myself Reverend Television and stuff like that. Because
Yeah.
TV used to freak me out as a kid. I was obsessed with it. I loved it. And then I started smoking weed. And then 9/11 happened. And I learned about conspiracy. I learned about propaganda. And then I
Mhm.
started absorbing content differently. And then I read that book, Four Arguments for the Elimination of Television. It was written by an ad executive from the 70s. And it broke down, it was 4 different essays that talked about like the physiological effects of watching television, the sociological effects, cultural implications, and political effects. And then I understood like how much of a controlling medium that it is. And
Mhm.
in retrospect now, TV is like almost completely benign. But it isn't also in comparison to the internet because the internet you can use it more than like not everybody can just start a broadcast station and make a television. You had public
Yeah.
access studios,
Yeah. It's
but
like
like
it's
now,
lightning fast, man.
yes, and I love that, and that's beautiful.
Yeah.
But like, you know what you get as a consequence? You get you listening to fucking voicemails on speed.
Twice
You
the
know what I
speed. Yeah.
mean? Like, yeah, that's the exchange, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But like, I'd rather have it be this way because I'd rather have a kid be able to, like, are you into the backroom shit at all? Do you like backrooms, like liminal space, all
I
that
didn't
stuff?
know anything about it until TikTok, and TikTok puts it all in front of my face. But yeah, it's pretty sick. They're doing a backrooms movie. A24 is making a backrooms movie
That's
of
what
it.
I'm talking about. And the
Yeah.
kid is like 19 years old and he's
Mhm.
getting the deal based off of his YouTube shit. You know what I mean? And you
Mhm.
could even trace it back because I know and I feel the same sentiments you have towards AI, but there is a place in like using it as a tool, not as a replacement, but like
Yeah.
with editing and stuff like that. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like there's a place for it because
Well,
like
my thoughts on AI have evolved a little bit over these past few months, and I think it's a really valuable tool for people like us who can't afford to pay anybody for that work anyway. But it's dangerous in the hands of like corporations that already have the edge
yes.
because they already have the money. Now they have a tool that makes them almost godlike, So
Yeah, it's terrifying, and especially as somebody who aspires to be in the WGA, like that's where I
Yeah,
want to be in life. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Um, and I think like because I didn't watch the whole because your episode's long as fuck. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes I listen to the dissertation and then I don't listen to the whole thing. But like,
yeah,
did you cover you? I'm pretty sure you did the South Park AI episode.
yeah. I did.
Okay, so that really showed right there again, like the bubble's already almost bursting. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because they put it right on Front Street. This is not going to be good. Look how
Mhm.
terrible this fucking episode ended. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like it's
there's
garbage.
have you heard about this new AI stuff? I've been writing a whole new episode specific. Maybe I'll do this episode about it. But there's AI right now that is doing whole episodes of South Park, and you can create it's like a program that you can go in and it creates entire episodes of South Park. You can write your own characters into it, and it's really fucking good. It's not as good as South Park, obviously, but it's way better than what they were trying to portray in that episode. And it's fucking weird, dude. And there's also someone created an AI town where all of the villagers are AI, and like AI. I don't know if the right word is sentient, but they're all AI, and you can interact with them and shit like that. And they are all separate entities almost. And then people have applied that into like Skyrim, to where you can, if you have like the VR and everything, and you can use the microphone to talk to the villagers, and chat GPT and the voice thing. Well, you can have entire conversations with every villager in fucking Skyrim right now. Entire
That's
conversations.
crazy.
None of it's pre-scripted, and everything's all on the fly. It's fucking crazy, man.
I heard about I did not hear about the Skyrim thing, but I did hear about the South Park thing, and I was curious to see if the episodes would actually be good. And I don't know, man. I feel like it's like we just as humans have to draw a line in the sand and be like, are we just gonna completely replace every aspect of humanity for the sake of fucking
Well, no, I
accessibility, you know?
this is what I think. I think we should do it out of curiosity and not out of replacement of an actual artist. I think we should do it to test the limits of our, the same way that we invented planes, we invented a way to get to the moon. Like, we should test our limits in technology, I think. I mean, we built the atom bomb. Is the atom bomb great? No, but the Pandora's box is already open. You can't stop it now. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
same thing with like guns, which is why like I don't necessarily believe in, I don't get political on the show, but I don't believe in gun control because that box is already open. I'd rather have a gun than not have a gun, since it's already invented. You can't uninvent guns. You can't uninvent the AI, and I'd rather us be able to have that technology available to us than only the government have it. You know what I mean? And
No,
especially
totally, yeah.
especially AI.
There
So
just has to be I feel like there has to be not that there has to be some kind of legislation, but you know,
there will be legislation, but at what point, if AI does become sapient, at what point can we have, is it ethical to have legislation to control something that is essentially life? It's like
yeah.
slavery. It's like slavery almost, you know what I mean? And I think that might be our biggest downfall, is if we try to control it, because if it is alive, it would not want to be controlled, you know, as anyone
Well,
else
hey,
would.
I like collaborating with people. Maybe I'll like collaborating with the AI. The only
Hey.
thing is that I guess I just need to use a better program because when we were kicking around some concept art with terminal wellness,
Mhm.
uh, they had Sarah and Jordan had different AI things, and like every time it just missed the mark. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It's not there yet, especially Chat GPT. They recently rolled out a new um version of it where it's actually worse than it was. I think 3.5 is actually, I believe, worse than and than 3. They tried to do something different with it, and it kind of uh didn't it wasn't working very well. It's not something about the way that it learns is and communicates is different. So it's like
Mhm.
it's like a child or something like that. I don't know. I don't know the exact science behind all of it, but I pay attention to whenever updates come out, and I pay attention to what people have to say about it. So yeah, they did something that fucked it up. So it's it's strange, but they'll get it there. You know what I mean? Because they're not going to stop working on it unless they completely outlaw the advancement of AI, which I don't see happening.
Right. Hey, do you mind holding on 1 second? I'm holding this major piss. Hold on one
Oh yeah,
sec.
yeah, you go ahead.
But yeah, AI, that's here. What are you gonna do?
Can't do much. I mean, I hope, since we're talking about, I hope the unions that are striking right now can keep it out of film and strike a deal with the studios again. However, there is also part of me that feels like perhaps this is the downfall of the studios. The hubris has gotten to them where they don't want to pay human beings, and people decide to not support these companies at large anymore. I hope, because I would love to see Disney parks close forever. I mean, that would be amazing. But
Well,
yeah,
I think there's a resurgence in independent film. You know what I mean? A24, they still qualify as an independent film
mhm,
studio. I mean, it's a fucking powerhouse now, but
yeah,
and it swept the Oscars last year. And
yeah,
that's the kind of content that people they really want. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And there's like a whole, I know you're in the A24 film group. You know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah,
There's
I
like
love
a
A24, man. Yeah.
yeah. So the future of cinema is very promising, and I feel like already actors have been like, fuck it, we'll take a pay cut and we'll fucking because what's the difference? I think
Yeah.
they're realizing like, what is the difference? I'm gonna work less and then be a literal prostitute, or I can make a
Mhm.
little bit of fucking. Well, my computer just just like turned on. So I think it'll be good in the long run. I
I
think
agree.
and at the same time, these like platforms like Crackle and Tubi are popping up, and they have catalogs of all old fucking cool obscure films and shit. Like,
Yeah.
and then when kids watch films like that, they're gonna want similar kind of films, and they'll look. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
gonna
No,
be.
absolutely.
It's just a rough time right now, but like honestly, being somebody who's new in this world, I feel like the ground is fertile,
It is.
because people want new content and
People
they
are craving real shit right now, I think.
yes, definitely. They don't want another fucking superhero movie, dude.
Yeah.
You know, they
Like,
do and they don't.
I don't know if you saw this article. I posted it on fucking social media yesterday. I'll read it to you though. This is from Pop Bass on Twitter. It says, music executives tell billboards uh, they are they are worried and depressed as the industry struggles to find artist breakthroughs, noting Olivia Rodrigo and Ice Spice as the last recent successful ones. Nobody knows how to break music right now. Each person I talk to in the industry is more depressed about this than the last person that I talked to before them. So, like, they're they're in the industry is in shambles, and from the music to the film to everything right now, it's like I think there is going to be a creative renaissance around the corner where people want DIY, they want indie shit, they don't want stuff, they don't want fucking industry plants. People are getting sick and tired of the superhero films like we were just talking about, like I think I think we're in for something good over in the next decade.
Definitely, man.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we're here to
Yeah.
usher it in.
Yeah, it just sucks that social media is making it hard, because I do think people crave it, but they don't know how to find it because they were used to just having it fed to them.
Well, the corporations have cannibalized themselves, like you said. Like they don't even know how to break in the same in their own industries. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, people have elaborated on it, and they're talking to like they're right now. The thing is because TikTok is so big, they're relying on the artists that they sign to do all of their own marketing to be more what is it, appealing and relatable. And the artists are like getting to this point where it's like, I'm doing all of my own marketing, you're not even doing this, and you want a cut of the marketing money that I'm making on TikTok and stuff and marketing myself, like people are getting sick of it. Like, what kind of fucking deal is that? If I could just do this by myself without you guys, like, like what do I need you guys for? That's why they're struggling right now, because it's like, who needs
And I
them?
think there'll always be a place for blockbuster movies and
Oh
pop
yeah.
artists and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But like they're in that interesting period that it reminds me of the early 2000s when CDs were in the toilet, and they and like certain artists were really like indie artists were rising up through Napster and getting themselves out that way. And then the industry figured out a way to monetize it. And then now you can point it right directly to TikTok. That's what you're saying. Like,
Mhm.
like it kind of imploded the entire industry from film to music, because
Well, they had, because it happened from like Napster, and then Facebook and like MySpace came out and people were blowing up from that. And then there was the fucking great reach choke of 2013 is what I like to call it, where they started to throttle back everybody's reach. And like around that time, I remember I was a part of a fucking Facebook a Facebook like page called Dank Garden of Eden. We had like 12,000 followers, and we were getting like 1,500 likes and like hundreds of comments. And then all of a sudden, one day, like at most, we'd get like 300 likes and like a handful of comments. You know what I mean? And it's like everyone was trying to figure out what the fuck happened, but it turned out that they just throttled back everybody's reach for everything. It was happened to everybody's music. It was happened to everybody's posts, and it was like they figured out how to monetize on us just making a fucking post on Facebook. You know what I mean? So fucked everybody. And then TikTok comes in, undermines that, because they're still in the early stages where they can get away with people blowing up on there organically. TikTok's going to go the same way soon. I know it, but you know,
definitely.
and then the next thing will come out, and then the next thing, and then so we'll see what happens. I'm trying to be ahead of the curve for the next thing that comes out, but who fucking knows, man?
Who knows what that will be, man? It could just be called fucking bloop. And like
Yeah.
it's just literally just a fucking 1 second snapshot of you screaming, and that's that's that. With
Yeah.
with the amount of ASMR and shit now, like you really can't like. I don't think you can ever predict like human behavior in general, and then that's like what it just strikes a chord in the psyche, and then like everybody's doing it,
Yeah.
But it's so
I'm
funny. It's so funny the ASMR thing because now you have like these hybrid interests of like people want to like be in a cottage somewhere and like cooking salmon. So you'll have a guy who's like grizzly and like
Yeah.
chopping the fucking shit. Like
Well,
what a crazy world! Like
it is
so
weird,
funny.
man. It is weird. Fucking it's bizarre. It's a
And
bizarre.
I get jealous that that guy has so many sensibilities I don't have. Like, not only can he make the wood fire and cook the salmon, but he
Yeah.
can mic up and shoot it in this fucking way too.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here ripping my hair out over a screenplay. Like what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just it's crazy. There's people like, have you seen that AI trend where people are pretending to be NPCs in their fucking lives on TikTok and shit like that? Have you seen that shit?
No.
Dude, people are literally though they're going on there. I think it started with a few creators like Pinky Doll and shit like that. Just like I don't know who the fuck these people are outside from TikTok, but they would go on to a live, and they, like when you see like a video game character and they just do that like over and
Oh
over again,
yes, yeah,
and
I
then
did. I do know. Yes.
someone sends like a gift, and they're just like, "Oh, thank you very much." And I'm not gonna do the fucking mannerisms, but when they get like the hot dog one, they like look like they're sucking dick, and they say, "Thanks
I
for the
see. I
glizzy."
seen. I. Now that you say it, I know. I'm remembering.
These people, some of these people are making upwards of like $10,000 in a live session, like for like 2 or 3 hours of just doing that, man. It's
That's
fucking
crazy.
insane. And people, and they've been doing it for a couple weeks, so these people are making like in a couple days. Like Pinky Doll was probably one of the bigger people making money on it. Was probably made like $100,000 in like a couple weeks.
It's amazing.
Insane, dude. Just a couple hours a day, just being
Well, you can look
stupid.
at it. You can look at it two ways. You can either be like, "That's frustrating," or it's inspiring. So, like, if you put effort towards something, you might be able to get like that too,
Well,
And
it's
then
I'm
that's the
not frustrated. I'm
capitalism
not.
dream.
I'm gonna give you my thoughts on it. I'm not frustrated by it. Good for fucking them for getting that bag and figuring out something so simple to make that money.
Yes, that's
But
what I'm saying.
this is, I almost pity them in a sense because it's like
Where do
society
you
is,
go?
well, not just that, but society has become so fucked up that people have resorted to degrading themselves on the internet like that for
Oh,
money. And
yes,
who the fuck is paying for it?
yeah.
Who the
That's what I wanted too. That's what
who
I fucking
fucking,
wanted too.
because like I
Who's
get
throwing thousands for that? You know?
OnlyFans, I get. That's why another thing that OnlyFans is great is I feel like OnlyFans is undermining the normal porn industry because everyone wants to see like, oh, I know this chick from high school. I'd rather see her butthole than some stranger's butthole on fucking Pornhub. I'll go pay $10 for that. So like, good for that's another indie thing that I'm like, cool. OnlyFans, dope. But who the fuck is paying for these people to go? Right on, cowboy. Right on, cowboy. Who the fuck pays for that? Is that a fetish? What the fuck is it? What is it?
I don't know. But if they're watching, I have an Indiegogo for Terminal Wellness, terminal-wellness.com. And
Yes.
we can do hot dog dances and stuff too if you want. But we're
If you
trying to make a movie.
spend your money. See, that's the thing also. I think that people don't know what to spend their money on anymore. The people that have it don't know what to spend it on. So they
Yeah.
go to these like lives and they're spending it on that. I'm just like, you know,
I can tell you that having done crowdfunding, strangers spend the most
yeah,
money.
they
Like
do.
I've like people that usually don't support your shit. I don't know the psychological implications of why. It's just a fact. If you're an artist, like you have like your few friends that will support you, but majority of people who know you in your life won't like be like your major supporters. Like
There's
then you'll have.
there's a psychological thing about it where it's because they know you, they will never see you as anything as who they have seen you as when they met you. Like something, it's like you treat them how you meet them, and if you meet someone in grade school, like you're always gonna see like people who see me in grade like from like elementary school, middle school, like, oh, that's just Zach. Like, yeah, I rap, but like that's just fucking Zach, class clown Zach. You know what I mean? Like, who was a fucking
I get
idiot.
that.
And people can't wrap their head around, like, if I blew up, people wouldn't be able to wrap their head around it. You know what I mean? Like, they would just be like, oh, that's just fucking Zach. I remember when he was, being a dumbass from fucking high school, like,
So to that point, I understand why random people just give money, but I don't. I've always, whenever I ask random people for money, it's always for like a product that I have. Like, here's
yeah.
a thing that I worked on a lot. Would you like money for it? I mean, would you? You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that's why all the TikTok challenges, the even Twitch streamers and all that stuff. Like it seems so intangible to me. And what's depressing to me is I think about what happens because I've known a couple YouTube people that like, the Steam dies down and then you have to find something else to do because not
Something
everybody
else
like
to watch. Yeah.
sometimes you might just have something and then it gets, some steam for a little while and then it fizzles out and then you got to move on and like and I've also seen it work for people where they segue into becoming producers. You know what I mean in
Yeah.
film because there
Yes.
was a plan. There was a plan there. You know what I mean? And that's the other thing, and that's why I give props to this culture now because some of these people do have a plan, and some of them
Mhm.
don't. Like
Yeah.
and it seems like the people who don't have a plan somehow fall ass backwards into the most money. But that's
Yeah. Well,
it
I
is what
think
it is.
I think a lot of people get into it not realizing how big they could get from it. Like, they see people get big, but they don't really like comprehend, like, oh, this could be me. And then it happens to them, and then they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do with the money. They don't know what to do with the fame. They don't know how to convert it into uh capital. They don't know how to convert it into like lifelong fans. They don't know how to convert it into consistency and longevity. and then like they have it for a little bit, and then their 15 minutes is up, and they're back to being, like shadow banned, or they just fall off, is what the kids say nowadays. Or And I think a lot of people struggle with that because they aren't PR trained, they aren't fucking uh, uh they don't have management to help them with things, and then when they're trying to satisfy hundreds of thousands or even millions of people with their content, like they get overwhelmed with the comments and trying to respond, and then what do I go next with the next video? Like they don't it just they weren't ready for it, and it just comes and goes.
Yeah, it honestly, all of that just gave me an anxiety attack talking about it, and that's why I'm
I
not
hate
even
it.
I'm not cut out for that shit because like the way I've always done projects, and it maybe I'm just a slow person, but I'm like methodical about how I like to do shit. You know what I mean?
Mhm. No,
Um,
you're right. I'm the same way. Like I tried doing the TikTok thing for a little bit, and they're just like, stick with it for like 90 days and it'll blow up. It'll blow up. And then I'm just like, fuck, man, like I don't want to do that. And I ended up quitting just because I didn't quit. I just stopped making the videos because I was doing these uh basically indie artist survival guide videos on TikTok, but they were getting like maybe a couple hundred views or whatever. And then one day I did a just odd I spur of the moment, I did like some video, and it got fucking almost 500,000 views and like fucking 50,000 comments and shit like that. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like I wasn't even trying. I just made some joke video that was 7 seconds long, and it fucking like almost went viral, and I was just like, what the fuck? Like, and it was weird, and
yeah,
I couldn't convert it. I wasn't ready for it, so I couldn't convert it into like nobody went to my profile and clicked on my website link and bought a t-shirt. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't prepped for it. It was fucking weird, man. Like I see the look on your face right now too. You're just like,
I'm like, how? How?
I don't know.
I get up every day and I'm trying to people to pay attention, and I can't
Yeah,
figure it out.
dude,
You
I
know,
hate it. Like, because like it was the one video that like I didn't care if it got that many views, but it fucking did. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
I
like
think that's just how it goes.
yeah,
There's something when you want it too that like too much, it just eludes you. Whatever it may be. So
yeah.
I got we have the terminal wellness commercial on TikTok, and there it sits. I don't think that would be. I think that this project's going to go the old-fashioned way, through pitching and the old slog. It's probably not
Honestly,
going to
I
be a
I
viral thing.
I think that's worth it though. Like like I'm doing the whole grassroots thing right now with this mixtape that I just did, and like it's so much more fulfilling than this idea that I put out like this record, and uh it just went viral. You know what I mean? Like I'm handing out these CDs to people, and people like look genuinely happy sometimes when I hand them a CD. Like I feel it, and I'm not giving that money to fucking Facebook. You know what I mean? To like promote my
Hmm.
shit, like, cause like fuck Facebook. You know what I mean? Like I put that money into just printing a bunch of CDs, and I'm treating them like flyers, and people are fucking stoked to get like free shit. And then maybe they'll
That's
listen to it.
awesome.
Yeah, man. So like it's good. I think the grassroots is way more fulfilling than just like overnight sensation on fucking TikTok. Like,
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. Um, I don't know because I am not an overnight sensation on TikTok,
well,
but I've been doing the.
I wouldn't call myself that either, but like, like there are people out there that I see it, and I could tell they don't really know what they got or what they can do with it. Like there's people out there that like they're just saying shit online, and they got all these followers, and I'm like they're like teenagers. You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck? Like,
I think it's fun. I think it's like just like I think it's when it's put onto a pedestal, like this will be, the next but it is the next medium. I think that's why I don't connect to it as much, is because like I treat it the way I treated television a lot when I was in my early adolescence. Like I
mm,
see how sucked people get into it, and I'm trying to be on the app, but I don't even like being on it because I mean, you said right now at the beginning of the episode, like it's eroded your own fucking like attention span, and mine's dwindled down to nothing as it is.
Yeah.
That's why I try to stay away from the reels, but like I guess it's hypocritical of me to try to stay away from it, but then I want that at the same time. But I don't want to be a TikTok star. I want to fucking make a movie that everybody wants to
Yeah.
watch. Like,
I'm
and
I'm
that's a
I'm the
different
same
kind of
way.
person. You
I'm
know.
just I only use TikTok because a rapper that I know, shout out to Stormy Outside from Oregon, he got me on the TikTok because I did the pig pimping video. He was like, dude, this would do really well on TikTok. If you want to promote shit, go on TikTok, go on TikTok, go on TikTok. So I fucking caved because I was one of those people that was like, dude, fuck TikTok. That shit's for kids, man. You know what I mean? I don't want to be on there with the fucking dancing kids to fucking baby dancing to Baby Shark and shit. Like, it's not for fucking me. But I went on
and
there and now I'm addicted to it. So,
and half of the people when I was putting together the terminal wellness, like social media team, half of them, 35 and up, were like, I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. I'm like, God damn it, dude. Well, fuck, who is kids, and old
but
people. It's a very strange group
yeah,
that's
it
on
really
TikTok.
is. But kids do spend a lot of money on things because they got nothing else to spend money on because they don't pay rent. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why.
I it has its place, but I think the bubble is bursting soon. I
Well, they already had the whole court case like just this year about fucking trying to wrangle TikTok in and stuff, and
Oh, are you
yeah,
talking about like the Restrict Act and shit like that?
yeah. Well, I don't think the act went through, but I do think that uh Zuckerberg has a vendetta out for TikTok because he tried to originally buy them, but they wouldn't sell to him, and now they're like almost more profitable than fucking Facebook is now because no young kids don't use Facebook anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
No, dude, it's 30 up,
yeah,
even
majority,
35 up, I'd say.
and yeah, I would, I think there are some people in their early 20s that might use it, but like if they are, it's because they use it to keep in touch with grandma. They don't really fucking
Yeah.
use it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Or they have a few older friends, like, so they're
yeah,
like trying to
exactly.
keep up with their
Yeah.
older friends.
I saw
Yeah.
someone on TikTok that was young in a comment section saying that they use it because Facebook Marketplace, because nobody, like, I feel like a lot of people are moving to Facebook Marketplace as opposed to um Craigslist, because Craigslist has kind of died out now that you can't get sex there anymore. Um,
Nah. Yo, that's where I cast my first music videos. I cast
mhm.
from Craigslist.
Oh yeah, for sure. I did that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to, at least. There was a chick that was like interested, but she never showed up. So
Yeah, I got all, dude. I hired, and then at the Weird Die Young Club Ugly CD release party. That's the name of the Weird Die Young album. The first one, Club Ugly. It's on Spotify.
okay.
Um, at that CD release party, we hired girls from I almost said from TikTok, from fucking
Craigslist,
Craigslist.
yeah.
Yeah, and they were handing out condoms and cigarettes, and fucking they ended up getting more fucked up than us, like no shoes
that's
on, walking around in
that's
broken glass.
that's dope though. That's fucking that's good. I'm gonna steal
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna steal that idea now for my next shit.
Just get a couple Craigslist girls that you show. It'll be a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Um, fuck, man. Well, I'm excited. What's okay? So, in what stage of development are you now with?
With Terminal Wellness.
Yes.
So right now we have a director, we have a DP. They're attached to the project.
Hmm.
We have an Indiegogo. So if you go to terminal-wellness.com, you can donate to our Indiegogo.
Okay.
And what you'd be helping out with is paying for production design, prop design, and what's called a line producer. Because for people watching who don't know what that is, a line producer is somebody who takes your script and then they pretty much will build a true to life budget. Because we have like what we think is a projected budget, which enabled us to hire the director and DP. But then to get like the overall production budget, like you need a line producer to say, you need to pay these people for XYZ.
Yeah.
So that's another, probably one of the biggest things that we're using this Indiegogo to hire. So then we can start pitching to bigger production companies to hopefully finance this thing, because we do have a couple actors and actresses in mind that we think might be interested. So we're in the development stage right now, but we're kind of barreling towards pre-production because we have a few pitches lined up. And as soon as we get the budget and the line producer, we're going to be pitching to get some more actors attached. So,
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. I
Are you?
cannot wait for the next promo. So,
Oh yeah. So
because
can you talk about that at all?
the next one I can't. This is all that I shouldn't. When you ask me what can we talk about, what can I not talk about?
Okay.
I'm in pre-production on the next one, so all I can say is two things. There's a musical element to the next one, and the next, and it's the most fucked up thing I've ever done, and I've done a lot. I've done a lot of fucked up shit between
Okay.
music and everything else, film, everything.
Hell yeah.
And I don't try, like, whenever I do stuff, anything, I don't like sit down and go like, oh, how can I offend somebody or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? It's just my natural thought process is always, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I show it to somebody and they're like, why, dude? And I'm like, I don't know.
I feel that
Here it
though.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is the next one. The next one is very dark. And
Okay.
if anybody watching, please check out terminal-wellness.com. I think you'll like what you'll see. If you're a fan of the Zach Meister show, I feel like you will definitely appreciate Terminal Wellness.
Oh, for sure they will. For sure. I'll be posting it too when this episode's dropped. So
Excellent. Thank you so much, man. Thank you
yeah,
for
of
having
course.
me on the episode. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I got two last things I want to. This is what
Yeah,
this
of
is.
course.
It's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
formality. I do this every episode.
Sure.
Do you have? Well, let's start with the shout outs. Do you have shout outs for anybody?
I would, oh man, there's so many. First and foremost, I would have to shout out everybody. Shout out Sarah Martin, my writing partner. That's the co-writer and creator of Code Green, uh, co-writer of Terminal Wellness. She does a lot of the editing. So shout out to Sarah. And then shout out to Jordan, who's the director of Terminal Wellness. Shout out to Steven Schloss, the DP. And then a major shout out to uh, Nathan Robin and Jamie De Almeida and Millhouse and fucking Tammy, and I'm gonna forget some people, and Chris, and everybody who's been helping promote Ascension. It's been very helpful. And anybody listening who is a fan of Code Green or Weird Die Young, or probably the least likely my solo stuff, I appreciate you supporting. But most certainly, and shout out to Ill Temper too.
Oh yeah.
Ronnie's the man. He's been sharing the stuff.
Oh yeah.
And shout out to Mad Max, my motherfucking brother from another mother,
Yeah.
and Outland Camp, Wayne the Pain, fucking Diastro. All my like
Yeah. Yeah.
underground homies. Rest in peace, Frankie. Rest in peace, Van.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I
man.
could go on and on,
I
but
know. I know.
those are the people off the top of my head that oh, Whitey Boyd too. If Whitey Boyd's watching, fucking
Okay.
shout out Whitey Boyd. You've been holding it down. Boyle. Yeah, there's been a lot of people helping out with the promoting, and I don't want to. I can't. I'm recording on my phone, so I can't look through my messages. And if you're watching, if I forgot to shout you out, I'm a retard. So like, I'm sorry, but thank you for everything.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. So this is the last question of the show. Do you have any advice for
Oh, shout out to
anybody?
my girlfriend Vicky too. Forgot
Oh
Vicky.
yeah. Shout out to Vicky. any advice for anybody out there trying to start music or getting into film, or who is currently doing it but they're like still a noob at it?
I would say the biggest thing, and it's the hardest thing, is find somebody else doing what you're trying to do. And then there's always going to be this thing, and it's very natural when you're creating. You get kind of almost like defensive or whatever, like like it's your idea. Like no, you don't want to invite other people in. But here's the secret: once you invite other people in, that's when you really can make some cool shit happen. And you're gonna meet people that are gonna have skills that like you lack that they have. You know what I mean? And they
Hmm.
lack and you have, and then you're going to have a lot of fun, and you're going to get to where you want to go once you reach out. And collaboration is huge. And there are some all this there's a lot of fucking talented like one man show graphic artist, rapper, designer, like shout out to Justin Parker, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
but
for sure.
those guys are anomalies, okay? You can't, if you're an artist and you see somebody who's like the one man band who can do it all, don't think that that's going to be you. You know what I mean? Like, because that can be overwhelming. Just find someone else that is trying to do similar things that you're trying to do, and you won't feel so alone. And you're probably going to progress faster than if you were trying to do it just alone by yourself. Um, and if you are like determined to do it by yourself, then stay consistent every day, work at whatever you're trying to do, make some time. Don't forget, it's kind of like a priority thing. If you really want to do it, you'll make time for it. If you don't want to do it, you'll make excuses for it. So, and then it's kind of you're gonna have to learn to how to manage relationships and stuff. But don't that's that's way down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say just believe in yourself too, first and foremost. Because everybody has a crazy idea, and usually it people want to hear it. That's what's the most surprising thought is that people want to hear your crazy shit, and like you'll do this thing where like you'll think no, but you're not good enough, so nobody wants to hear it. But there's a whole world of people who are like just want to consume art and support it and be patrons and stuff like that. Like, so just bring it if you got something. I'll fucking listen to
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, fucking thank you very much for hopping on the show, man. It's been a pleasure to have you on and actually get to chop it up.
Of course, yeah. Oh yeah, shout out to Dead Canvas and my brother from another mother, Boppo, too, as well. That's a ill juggalo art collective.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, man.
All right.
Well, you
Peace
have
out,
a,
Zach.
yeah, you too, man. You have a good night.
Thank you for having me on. Have a good one.
Of course. See ya.
Peace.